Okay, everybody. So, good morning, afternoon, whenever you're watching this. Interesting. Okay, let's start off nice and easy with this little self massage tapping exercise. So, just standing comfortably, rubbing your hands together just to warm them up and loosen them up a little bit, and then with the pads of your fingers tapping over your face. Nice, light, steady, but quite rapid movements. Jaw loosened, and then working up over your head and neck. Depends on shoulder. You'll have the muscles vibrate a little bit as you strike them down the inside of your arm, up the outside, and then inside. And your back. Nice and light on the lower part of your back, just covering as much of your back as you're comfortable with, going around your hips. And then down the outside of your legs and up the inside. Light again on your belly. And on the upper part. Standing with your feet below your hips, so not too close together or too wide apart, and just focusing first of all on this middle part of your body and turning very gently. So as always, the sort of warm-ups, as they're sometimes described, the preparatory part of the class. It's not just about the physical aspects, important though that is, but also a way of just bringing your attention gently into your body via an awareness of posture and movement. And that awareness feeds into our posture and movement. We can start to notice things and maybe change a few things. Always a very gentle, patient process. So then force yourself into a posture and try and get a sense for the underlying reasons why we do things in a particular way. So, for instance, when we talk about feet, our hips, just to make sure that our hips have the support that they need, and then they can support our shoulders. For instance, your feet are really close together, you can start to wobble around. Too wide apart can have its advantages, but it does get tiring on the legs. So this is a good basic posture, one that we use for many of the exercises. As you turn in the middle of your body, just notice how you get a response really all through your body. Try not to let your knees do this, twist around too much, and try and have your weight in the middle of your body, in the middle of your stance, sorry, rather than moving around. But if your weight is moving around in one direction or another, just note that it's happening. There's all sorts of reasons why it might happen. And again, nothing should be forced. So it's not the end of the world if you are moving a little bit, but an awareness of what's going on is always useful. In the upper part of your body, as you turn, you feel the movement going up towards your ribs and then your shoulders, and finally reaching your arms. So a great deal of what we want to continue to cultivate in the later exercises is sort of brought to the surface, shall we say, in these initial movements. Just feeling how your body is supported. The legs obviously are supporting your body. You want to feel that your back supports the front of your body. So try not to pull your belly in, tighten your chest. And you'll find that that really helps to get a sense of movement within the upper body, patterns of movement. And that would include things like your breathing, digestion. So there's all sorts of movements that our body needs to make. And as you do begin to lose some of the tightness and stiffness in the upper part of your body in particular, just become a little bit more aware of structures like the spine and rib cage. Through that, a sense of, yeah, your body's being supported from within. So we don't need the tightness, we don't need the stiffness to simply remain upright. And this is a significant change in our perception of how we stand and how we move. And it's quite a profound change. I'll come back to some of the details of this in a few moments. Turning your hands palm out, just raise them up a little bit. Just trying to maintain this shape with your arms without actually stiffening up. So don't have your arms too high or out too far. So these swinging exercises offer a very gentle aerobic preparation. You shouldn't be kind of out of breath, but you may feel that your heart is beating a little bit faster. Body's starting to circulate more freely through your body. And make your hands. You put one foot in front, keep the width of your step. And with that, to start off with, we can feel this gentle push against the ground, moving your weight forwards and backwards, and letting the center of your body turn. And not worried at the moment about which way your center's turning, just feeling the connection between where your weight rests, which leg is carrying the majority of your weight, and the angle of your upper body. It might be here, might be here, but there'll be some kind of movement. People with a little bit more experience try and make sure that you're turning in the direction that your feet are pointing rather than the opposite way around. And also that idea of pushing kind of evolves into a more subtle sense of a kind of springiness in your legs. So it's not so much a push, it's almost like you're being bounced forwards and backwards. And then with your other foot forwards, notice any difference between one side and another. There can be quite easily. Good end and shape. So the idea of the postures and the structures that we take is to allow our body to settle without having to tense up. Obviously, our body's still being used. We're not simply just relaxing, but looking for what we might call an elastic tone in the soft tissue of the body. And we achieve that through a good structure, an aligned structure in line with the pull of gravity. And through allowing our center of gravity to drop, we root down in Tai Chi terms. And it's that latter I want to look at the moment before we start with the main body of exercises. And what I'd like to do, just a very simple exercise, starting with your shoulders. Push your shoulders up towards your ears, and then slowly let them drop down. And it's chance to just focus on that movement downwards and the sensation that you get in the back and shoulder blades, in chest and ribs. This is the sensation that we variously describe as releasing, letting go, softening, a sort of inward, downward, contracting movement that ends up once again with your shoulders dropping into your rib cage, into that sense of inner support. So this yielding movement is one of the main qualities that we look to cultivate all the way through these exercises. Not straining against the pull of gravity, not straining against our own body. Now that you've got a sense for how that feels, we're going to try and get the same sensation in the middle of the body. Just pull your belly in a little bit, tighten across your lower back very gently, and again, release. So deliberately tightening so that you can relate to this idea of releasing. Don't go hard at this. When we do this in the middle of our body, you may well find that our shoulders also release. And also, if you look at my knees, when I tighten up, my knees get pulled back. They're quite stiff. When I release in the hips, they'll just soften slightly. There'll be a slight curve. And the feeling begins to develop overhanging in lower back, hips, and buttocks. So this is the start of the process rooting down. And so it doesn't require a massive bend in the knees. Once again, you're beginning to drop into something, dropping into your pelvis, perhaps your legs, the ground beneath you, so that as we release that tightness in the body, there is still a sense of being rooted. And again, people with a bit more experience, this quality of releasing, an aspect that Chinese term sung, actually is something that we look for in the pulling in. So it's not just in the contracting movements, but in the expanding movements. So it starts to become the flavor of the movements. So then, as you release, just let the hips drop a little bit more. And before that becomes a strain on your knees, just gently pushing up, trying to apply that quality of release, and then you push up as well, and then sinking. So gravity is allowed to pull our body downwards a little bit. And the resilience in our legs, springiness in our legs that develops, then pushes us up. And so we end up with this very fundamental, very important cycle of movement, cycle of energy downwards towards the ground, and then gently. This is a constant, whether we're actively sinking our hips or not. We're always looking to allow this downward movement, gravity, which then produces the upward movement. And the principal energetic cycles that we make every solve these. So we have this two-way movement, and what we want to try and do is to take that into the upper body and finally into our arms. So sinking down, bring your hands around as though you're cradling a ball. And as you push up, let the expansion in your body push your elbows out. That will draw your hands up and turn them as though they're on top of the ball. Let your hips sink. Press down. This is the exercise routine. Following those lines of movement in your body. Body expanding and contracting. Again, just becoming aware of the patterns of movement within your upper body as well as in your legs. Where do you feel the expansion and contraction? You may notice change in your breathing. Don't force that, just let your body breathe however it's comfortable doing so. But the combination of a posture that allows for more space in your body, more space for movement, and that very gentle rhythmic movement comes with the sinking and pushing up in your hips, just gradually permeating the whole of your body with a very fluid, steady, harmonious quality about it. Expanding and contracting. So a good first exercise, it covers many of the qualities that we try and find in the later movements, building the movement from the ground with a sense of your whole body, one way or another, engaged in the movement. Remember that feeling of releasing, particularly in the downward contracting movements, but as much as possible as you expand as well. And then turning your fingers out, the expansion, push your arms away from your body. This is the exercise, the wild goose. So what we start to bring in here is sense of imagery. We're always looking to harmonize mind and body. These are intentional movements, and that intention can be fed by many things, including quite powerfully imagery. It's a good image for you. The image of the bird in flight may offer a certain quality. And it's interesting to observe how our bodies respond to images. So both mind and body engage in the movement and benefit from it. Take your hands, drop down, cross in front of your belly, push up. Again, your elbows, drawing your fingers around, this time a nice smooth circle, heart in the clouds. So as our attention gathers more deeply in our body, this is when we start to experience a greater sense of calmness. That is such a benefit of the art. In many ways, you'll find that we get more out of this practice if we approach it initially as a moving meditation rather than simply exercise. That it is exercise is undeniable. Of course, we are physically moving. But moving with a sense of engagement, of awareness, of intention. Now, as you sink down, your hands tuck under, going back to the first of these exercises and building them into a little simple three-part sequence. And this gives us a chance to just really focus on the changing sensations within our body. It's changed from one movement to another. If you get them in the wrong order, it's not the end of the world, but we do try and keep the movements as clear and as precise as possible, because that's something that really helps that gathering of our attention. Everything that comes out of that. So rooting down, wild goose, and parting. For the first of these, rooting down, just let your attention rest in your belly and your lower back, feeling the expansion and then that releasing contraction. As you begin the wild goose, the same area, but feel how it moves up towards your solar plexus, the lower part of your rib cage. And then belly and solar plexus, and finally higher up towards your chest, shoulders and arms. Gradually developing the ability to focus strongly on those internal movements, not to exclude the external movements, but they are the things that initially lead us into that awareness. But so that the movement begins to be generated from the inside out, as well as from the outside in. One more round. And then simply stand. And for new people, if you're watching the recording at this stage, that might be a good place to just finish. It depends how much time you've got. You're welcome to do the whole hour. But that can be quite a trial. Those initial exercises are some of the most important ones that we actually do. So just a reminder of the basic stance. Ideally, just having your weight a little bit forwards in your feet, and then just letting your hips drop back. For the next exercise, we will continue dropping our hips down and then pushing up. But for the next two, we maintain this top position, not stiff, not tight, still letting the hips drop and just trying to keep an awareness of that movement of gravity downwards through the body and the response from the body moving upwards. But we don't actually have to sink down and push up. But for the first exercise, we will do that. So again, just releasing in your hips, sinking down and pushing up your body, expanding and focusing on one side of your body as you push up, let your elbow come out, drawing your fingers up, wind your arms around and pull down. This is dragon plucks the stars from the sky. Don't let your hand go up too high. You don't want to straighten the shoulders. And then on the other side, push up. And trying to give yourself time, space to complete each. What you may find is a tendency to rush. This really comes from the mind. We might sort of get 3/4 of the way down and find that the other hand is starting to twitch, as though you want to get on with it. One way to gently counter that is to include a third element, a third part of the body. You let your hand come all the way down. You bring your attention to the center of your body and your hips, and then to the opposite side, and push up and sink. Your attention come to your center, and then the opposite side, pushing up. And dragon plucks the stars from the sky. That gathering of our attention and that quietening of our mind, we begin to appreciate the phrase that is often, well, I often quote in Tai Chi, that we seek the stillness within the movement. Movement becomes imbued with this calm quality. And this time, come into that top stance, hips dropping back. Bring your hands around so they just gently touch the side of your hips. And then from there, coming in front a little bit, pressing up a little bit above your head. And back down. And once again, don't rush this. Take time. Bring your hands back. Just touch with the inside of your hand or your arm, the outside of your hips. And then lifting again, pushing out. And back. On the side, you can see slightly forwards, knees gently curved. Keeping hands in front of the body. Try and avoid doing this. Imagine you've got elastic bands between your hands. And you're just stretching them out a little bit, letting them contract slowly. And that feeling of elasticity is one that is useful to have an intention to cultivate through all the soft tissue of your body. In the quality of movement, sometimes described as though you're being very gently massaged internally, as though all the internal tissues are being gently bathed in the energy. Attention regularly coming back to that center part of your body. Part of your body you want to be dropping towards the ground. And also, as we will see next time, it's the part of your body that begins to direct your arms and your hands. As you push out to the sides, you turn in one direction, noting what happens with your arms and your hands, and that movement, drawing your hands back to the center, and then in the other direction, and back, and then facing forwards and pushing in forward direction. Moving from your center, moving from the ground. Remembering that elasticity as you turn, not tightening or stiffening up in your back or your shoulders. Don't turn so far that you feel as though you're putting pressure on your back or your spine. Doesn't have to be a big movement. And in fact, as we learn to focus more internally, we may well find that the movements themselves become a little bit smaller, but go deeper into the body. One more round of this, taking your time. Another image commonly used in Tai Chi is as though we're moving through water. And that's an image that really encourages that sense of releasing in big muscles and joints of the body. It contributes to the flow of the movement. And then your hands just drop down the side of your body. With the next expansion, again on one side, let that push your arm away and notice how it swings up over your head and then down. center line of your body back down to its full length and then out again. Gently drawing your fingers, circling palms, trying as much as you can without straining to keep palm of your hand facing outwards as swing up. So again, the movement is out from your center, back in, and again, this time, turn in the center. The area between our hips and our waist becoming a very strong point of focus for us. And then change the other side. Noticing any difference between one side and another, which is very common. All sorts of reasons. And focusing on the quality of the movement, whether it be that sense of elasticity, maybe the effect of moving through water, being gently massaged or bathed. Any of these images can be useful. None of them tell the whole story. None of them complete in themselves. So use whatever images are most useful to you. Return. With all of these movements, you should feel that you could have moved a little bit further. So one of the things that we're trying to cultivate, as I mentioned before, is this spacious feeling within the body, and indeed the settling of your attention within your mind as well. Now, let your arms rest. Go back to this movement, sinking down and pushing up. Once again, the center part of your body is key here. It's to make this dropping towards the ground. So we can, when we use terms like being centered, being grounded in Tai Chi, they're not metaphors. We literally move from the center. We literally drop towards the ground and take that movement from the upward movement from the leg. As we do this, coming closer so you can see, at the moment our pelvis is remaining level, but this time as you sink down, tilt the pelvis forwards so your hips go back. It's not a bend forwards like this, it's your hips going back. And that means that your head and shoulders go forwards, but you stay centered over your legs. The hips drop down again and then push up. Very carefully with your knees and your back. It's a strong exercise, but we're trying to come up very smoothly without straining in our back and our shoulders. And the thing that helps us do that is the pull of gravity on our hips. This is a lovely aspect of the Tai Chi posture. It means that when we yield to the pull of gravity, when we cease to fight with the pull of gravity, which is a fight that we're going to lose sooner or later, then actually it begins to help us come to the upright position. Remembering, particularly as you come to that upright position, how you're supported, your legs, your back, your skeleton. So there's plenty of things there to help you remain upright and help you to remain shaped without you having to stiffen up and to tighten up. And this time, push up, that movement, push your arms out, hips go back, shoulders and head, and then your arms and your hands going forwards. This is a movement called rowing a boat in the bottom. And again, nice and gently. I'm trying to do this quite big so that you can actually see the mechanics of what I'm doing. It doesn't have to be anything like this big. It could be just quite a small movement. Moving as far as you're comfortable. This is not a competition. And we're just trying to feel this gentle extension lengthening the spine and back. Remembering that massaging quality rather than feeling that we have to strain. Really appreciating how when we can yield to the pull of gravity, we come up with this lovely, open, spacious posture. Do one more of these. And then this time, as you come up, let your hands rest in front of your belly, palm down, turn, then push the hips back. So your hands are pushed away. Move your hips across carefully, let them drop down and turn back to them. It's called polishing the table. Just using the movements, both vertical and horizontal, the center of your body, to draw your arms around in the back so you can see more what my hips are doing. Again, I'm exaggerating. Swing across, come up, and then the other direction. Gently extending your arm, growing out of the shoulders and drawing back. Just trying to feel that certainly the whole of your upper body, from your hips to your fingers, extends out, contracts. It's one polishing the table. Bringing in whatever images are useful to you. One more time. And then step. So we look to maintain a posture that is conducive to the harmonious movement within the body. Movement like the circulation of our blood, breathing, all the metabolic processes that require movement, like digestion, for instance. But also on a more subtle level, the sense of movement through the whole body, the sense of the flow of the energy. And one of the things that we're trying to do is to just encourage a very harmonious quality to that flow. This is seen in Chinese medicine as one of the foundations of well-being. So what we want to try and do is to maintain these qualities in different circumstances. Obviously, we don't spend all our lives standing in one place, like with our feet hip width apart and not having to do anything else. So from this parallel posture here, turn one foot out, and once again step forward with the other foot. Again, you can see the background between my legs. I'm kept the hip width. I don't want to stand like this. I'm sort of trying to balance on a tight rope or something like that, still supported by my legs, and about the same in length. Not too short, because then you won't get any movement, but not a huge stride on it. And then once again, just transferring your weight from front to back. Pay a little bit more attention to the process of the weight transfer. As you become more familiar with this, it becomes more precise as to many things in Tai Chi. So when you're on your back leg, you're looking to have a ratio of 70% of your weight in the back leg, 30 in the front. When you go forwards, it's 60 in the front, 40 in the back. Giving yourself a moment to settle, to release. Remember that release and being in. Each time you land in one leg, and so you start to feel that sense of a push back up, a sense of almost as though there's an energy rising from there. Again, a lot of this comes from the developing conditioning of your legs. Developing this springy feeling. The weight transfer is an everyday action. Every time you move around, you're transferring your weight. So it's good to practice just this on its own. It's a key part of the Tai Chi practice, but it's also the thing that really helps us with our stability and our mobility. Now go into your back foot and gently raise the front toes so your weight slips back a little bit more. And turn the front foot out at this point. Go forward, push your back knee in, feel the hip drop in and your heel coming up. And as we do this, we gradually find that more of the weight settles over one leg, or through one leg, and our upper body becomes more in line with that leg. So 70% becomes 80, 90%, and so on. Keeping that feeling of your pelvis being level. Remember the previous two exercises, we saw that when the angle of the pelvis changes, so does the angle of our upper body. So keeping that feeling of your hips sinking back helps you to maintain an upright posture without straining as you're moving. And then just bring the foot in, push out, put your heel down, lower the ball of your foot, gently push into the ground, and then move your weight. Same thing on the other side, rear leg, push back, ball of the foot goes down, then your heel, you press in, you plant the foot. It's not necessary to keep your foot up in the air. It's quite reasonable with the toes down just to give yourself a moment to settle. You may find after a while that you're able just to raise the knee gently. Sometimes you'll be able to do that successfully. Other times there'll be a little bit of a wobble. And just keep your attention on that feeling of the connection to the ground, the alignment of your body. Okay. Check. So have your other foot forwards. Kick step, not raising toes or heel, just focusing on that all important quality of the weight transfer. It's able to really get a sense for what's going on in these very fundamental movements associated with simply walking. Making sure to give yourself the time and the space to settle in. It's a very good chance that in the transition from one foot to another, gone slightly out of line. This is absolutely normal. But we can return to that alignment, to that meeting there. Remember, this is a function of mind as well as body. Raising the toes. So every time our weight lands in one foot, we just for a moment touch that sort of sense of stillness, sense of quietness within the calmness. Both physically and mentally, there are tremendous benefits to our well-being. Good thing to remember later in the day, perhaps, when the situation, perhaps getting a bit frustrated, a bit peeved about something. Can you just bring your attention back into your body, to your hips, to the feet, and just find yourself a little bit of space to perhaps respond a bit more creatively. maybe if it suits you, raising your knee a little bit. You can do that without tilting the pelvis. There's a simple rotation in the hip. Again, you could imagine moving through water. And then either forwards or backwards, depending where you have room. Taking a few steps through. So you're actually in water. If you were walking in the sea, you'd be very careful about your footing. Change direction. And once again, just giving yourself time and space to reflect on this process of walking, to use the process of walking to help you to find the space in your mind for that reflection. Now have your right foot forward, so mirror my movements. Start with your weight in your back foot, arms at your sides. Push forwards, and as you do, leave your arms behind, as would happen if you were in water. Then eventually they just get to swing through. Coming back. This is the exercise fishermen passed away. Like a wave from the back foot up through your back and out through the front of your body, down into your front foot, and then front foot back. That wave-like energy, moving your arms, perhaps aware again the patterns of expansion and contraction in the upper part of your body that complement and develop that basic movement coming from the ground and the transfer of your weight. Maybe bringing a sense of intentionality to those patterns where that's useful. So, three aspects start to blend harmoniously. Our physical movements, the mechanics of the movements, our minds, our intentionality, our awareness, and the movement itself, the flow of the energy. Three treasures of Tai Chi, supporting each other, complementing each other. One harmonious style. And then this time, as you turn, as you come back, you turn, and that brings your hands across your body. Noticing again how when we turn in the center, our arms rooted in our feet, transmitted through our legs, guided and directed through the center. This time, it's expanding a little bit more in that rear side of your body, coming forwards, your arms just swing down, almost brushing across the front hips, turning, expanding in the front side of your body. Imagine shaped like a figure of 8 or an infinity sign, the air in front of you. Just want your body, your arms in particular, flow through that shape. You're moving through water. Remembering as you settle in each foot, taking the time to release. So even if you got a bit confused in between, you come back to that sense of stillness, harmony. And You want that to become a habit, to be able to touch those qualities when you need them. There's an effect on our nervous system as well. If we practice with this in mind, it becomes more reasonable for us to do that. And then shake it. So trying to maintain that sense of being centered, that sense of being harmonious, calm, however you label it. Also recognizing that it doesn't sustain. We have to actively cultivate it. And there are always things that happen, whether it be not knowing where our arms are or suddenly realizing you're late for an appointment or something like that, that disrupts that sense. But one of the great things I think in Tai Chi is that we can learn to get that back. So once again, 1 foot forward to on your left foot and pushing when you cast the net, settling into your front foot, just observing how your arms swing through. Noticing that fluidity of movement really is completely sort of bound up with that sense of stillness. So any sense of agitation that arises in that transition, whether that be physical or whether, a stray thought pops up, perhaps it can happen very, very easily. We are developing a way coming back. Developing a pathway, a neural pathway that leads us into this place of stillness. And in terms of Tai Chi, the physical location of that will be that center part of your body and near to the ground. This is where we learn to bring our attention back. This time turning, just letting your fingers swing through this gentle curve. So you're moving through water. Well, just remember that elasticity in it. And then going into the full figure of 8 movement. Hands return slightly palm up as they raise, and then they turn palm down, facing towards the ground. Try not to stiffen up on the fingers. And we're going to combine this with the walking that we just did. So you can either go forwards or backwards. I'm going to go forwards because there's a wall behind me. And turn my front foot out so I can let my weight drop a little bit more effectively. And this time, as I turn my arms come up, I bring my rear foot in. So going backwards would be in front of the foot. I step and plant the foot and rear foot in, planting foot. And once again, you may find it's comfortable to just raise your knee. If it's not, then don't. Keep the toes down. Just don't lose that sense of fluidity in the movement. I'm going to change direction now. And bring it up. You find it difficult to raise the leg, but you would like to be able to do that. Two things to think about. One is probably the same thing, that actually what we're trying to do is to release. And that's quite difficult if you feel you're going to fall over. So practice doing this while you're resting your hand on a wall or a table. And what happens when you just allow your hips to rest? You see if you can find that sense of inner strength that actually continues to support you. The other thing you can do to aid that process is to do that same exercise with the wall behind you and just going from side to side. My left foot in, maybe raise the legs, step out to the side, and the foot in, raise the knee. And the advantage of this is that if I do feel that I'm going to wobble around a little bit, I can always just rest back on the wall. So this engenders a sense of confidence when we're willing to just experiment a little bit. What happens if I do this? What happens if I release the hips? And maybe it's not always going to work. So this is something to maybe just build on over a period of time. Many things that can throw us off our route and our stability when we do this, and it's good to feel that there's something there that can support you while you figure out what they actually are. So coming back to the parallel stance, feet below your hips. Our closing exercise again, following up on this idea of returning and coming back. This is called embrace tiger, return to mount. So let your hips sink down again, pushing up, arms being pushed out a bit like the wild goose, but now bring your hands around. So you're going to hold the board against your chest. Drawing in and then hips sinking, arms following, turning to the mount. Mounting can be a lovely image of the qualities of mind and body in these postures and movements. And so it's nice to be able to just have a sense of what might draw us back to that. That can be a very personal thing. But again, in those moments of frustration, tension in our daily lives, maybe there's one or two things you can take away that will remind you how to come back. Raise tiger, turn to me. And then lovely as always. Thank you very much, everybody. And please feel free to contact me. Any questions? Hopefully see you soon. Bye for now.